In today's Daily Dose of Math, we're given a table of values with a bunch of points in it. And we're being asked to graph it, find the rule, that's the equation, and answer questions where we plug in an x value to get a y or plug in a y value to get an x. And this situation has x equal to number of people and y equal to number of slices each. This is about pizza. If you only have one person, that person will get 120 slices of pizza. That seems like a little too much. 2 people, each person gets 60 slices. Still crazy. 10 people, each person gets 12 slices. Well, we're starting to approach the amount of slices of pizza that I like to eat on a typical Friday night pizza night. And what's jumping out at me is that this might be the pizza function. Because my favorite example for one type of function is what I call the pizza function, and it ends up being a nickname for that type of function. But we don't know that for sure, just from knowing that it's about pizza. Because the truth is, we can create various different types of functions that are about pizza in a word problem scenario. Graphing the function is one way to try and figure out for sure what type of function it is. And that's going to be tricky here because we have some rather large numbers, so I had to scale my graphs so large numbers would fit. If there is one person, they get 120 slices. Well, that 120 is easy to find, but the 1 is tricky to show. I have to put a dot very close to the y-axis, but not on the y-axis. This is not a y-intercept. It does not have an x-coordinate of 0. 260 is almost as difficult to show. And then 10, 12 is going to be around here. 12, 10 is going to be around there. 62, we're starting to have the same problem again of being really close to the axis, and 121. But what I can see now is this is not a linear function, this is not a line. I have a curve that's very close to the axis, then curves over and ends up very close to the other axis, but is not going to touch either axis. And that is going to be an inverse function. Yes, the inverse function is the type of function that I like to refer to as the pizza function because it works so well with this how do we share pizza scenario. That's one way of proving to ourselves that this is an inverse function. But there's another way, which is the constant product test. We have a table of values. If we multiply each x by its y, and we keep getting the same answer, then it tells us this is an inverse function. 1 times 120 is 120, 2 times 60 is 120, 10 times 12 is 120. It's working. We have an inverse function. And I have graphed it, so I've answered part A of my question. What's the rule? Well, this is very easy to do when you've already done the constant product test because the rule of an inverse function is y equals k over x. And k will be the number you get when you do these multiplications. So our function is y equals 120 over x. Now we can start answering questions. If there are 24 people, well, number of people is an x. So I'm replacing my x with 24. Y equals 120 over 24, which is 5. That means the people will get 5 slices each. If there are 4 slices each, how many people were there? 4 slices each is a y-coordinate. So I have to fill in my equation replacing the y with a 4. And I have 4 equals 120 over x. And when I'm in this situation, I do the trade. So x therefore is equal to 120 over 4, which is 30. So my answer is 30 people. With each of the functions that we're responsible for, what we have to be able to do is work with these 4 things, which is a table of values, a graph, the rule or equation, and being able to plug values into that rule in order to answer questions. You have to be ready to be given some of this and then produce the rest. In this case, we're given the table of values and we're able to produce all of the rest. For the inverse function, also known as the pizza function. That is today's Daily Dose of Math. Don't forget to like this video, and if you're not subscribed yet, subscribe. And bon appétit.